Right, so I'll be doing a quick demo of this project. Let's get started. So there are two ways you can access it. That is as a recruiter, as you can see on this screen, and as an applicant, as you can see on this screen. We will firstly be getting started with the recruiter side of things. So what you can do first is create a job. It's pretty easy to get a job listing sorted. You just do the title, your location, your description, your top 3 characteristics that you'd like to be picked up in the CV, essentially, a bunch of experiences essentially that you would like the specific person or applicant to have, and then obviously you can submit that. We already have a few example jobs right here, and I guess we'll be using those as examples. So if we hop over to the applicant side, what you can do is you can look at your current applications. Obviously currently there are no applied jobs, and you can also find a job to apply to, which we'll be doing right now. So here we can see all the jobs that have been made by IBM at recruiter.com. Obviously if there are more recruiters, there'd be more jobs, and the relevant recruiters would be shown. So let's say I want to apply as a C++ developer. So firstly, let's notice there are specific experience of C++ and general experience of server. So if we just apply here, we can upload our CV. I'll be uploading Voldemort.pdf, which is just a generic example of CV for the character Voldemort from Harry Potter. So now we submit. What is currently happening right now is that the CV is being analysed. Firstly, the tones are being analysed for some specific tones that are wanting to be picked up, which will be properly discussed once the interview example is finished and we hop back over to the recruiter side. It's looking for specific experiences that are being asked for in the job listing, and that is essentially what's going on right now. Hopefully, if the cloud is working properly, that is, we should be able to get started on the example interview very soon. However, it has been a bit shaky recently. Right, well, here we are. Now we are in the chatbot screen. We cannot leave or refresh, otherwise we simply can't apply for the job again. We can't do this again. So this is just a general hello, welcome. We don't necessarily need to say anything here. It's asking us if we understand this process, in which yes, I do understand. Now, would we like to ask any questions? I personally do not have any questions to ask, so no. And okay then, enter any input to start the interview. Well, we can just press enter. Now, here we can see already it's picked up on the lack of experience specified within the CV. So notice how I earlier said it was asking for C++ as some specific experience. It said for this job you need to have used C++. There's no evidence that you have used C++ in your CV. Can you please state that you've used C++ and the experience you have with using it? So now I can say, I don't know, for example, during first year of university I had some mad projects with C++, including recreation of the well-known game Battlefield. Obviously, I have completely made this up, but let's click enter. Obviously, there is a 250 character limit, and that's simply to prevent waffling, to try and keep time down to a reasonable time. So this job requires some sort of general experience via previous job placement. Since experience required for this job has not yet been mentioned, can you please tell me a time where your server skills played a major part in a task you were given at a previous placement? Now you can see in this example Voldemort CV, there was absolutely no mention of server skills. Therefore, now what they want to do is essentially ask, well, does this person have server skills? Have they simply forgotten to add it to the CV? Or do they simply just not have any server skills? Now this is where I talk about, I don't know, let's say when I was 15, I hosted my own server and had a service where I rent out online storage. As an example, this gave me plenty of skills applicable to the real world. Are there any relevant qualifications that you think will help you to be better than other applicants for this specific job? Now, this is where it starts to ask some more general questions. It'll ask us general questions and it'll ask us follow-ups just to make sure that we really know what we're talking about and just to make sure that things on our CV check out, essentially. So are there any relevant qualifications? An MSc in computer science. Tell me about a time you've solved a complex problem. Now, obviously, it will keep asking a load of these questions, and for the sake of keeping this as brief as possible, I'll just bluff the rest of this. What is the achievement you're most proud of? The server hosting. Do you have any general certification and accreditation that could be important for this job's employers to know about? Now, this also again links back to the qualification section. So I don't know, I can just say MSc Computer Science or any other certifications or accreditations that I do have. Tell me how you supported a team member through a challenging time of work. I don't know, let's say servers crashed and the team needed my support backing the data up and restarting. As an example, this is just a complete bluff, obviously. Tell me how you worked effectively under pressure. During the server crash, I kept a calm head. Have you ever made a mistake? Yes, letting the servers crash. I then picked it back. How do you handle meeting a tight deadline? By sorting priorities out. As an example, obviously I'm making this very brief, very short. You would answer typically in more detail, which would give the AI and the recruiter more information to work with. Give an example of, I don't know, I'm just quickly getting through as much as I can. So now the interview is finished, it's saying your interview is now over, good luck. We can pop right back over to the dashboard and look at our applications. We have all the information that had just been gathered from that interview. So the contact, the title, location, etc. The actual CV that has been submitted and a full transcript of the interview for the benefit of the applicant. So that is it on the applicant side. Now let's hop over to the recruiter side and essentially see what the recruiter sees once the interview has been finished. So we obviously hop over to view jobs, and after that little glitch, and obviously it was a C++ developer job. If we hop over to view applicants, here we go, we can see that 2 people had already interviewed. Now to see what the analysis has actually done, first it simply puts a transcript of the CV that has been applied. Now there are 2 types of not 2 types of tones, there are 2 types of scoring. So there's low scoring tones and high scoring tones. So it's looking for, the Watson Discovery is looking for some specific types of tones within the CV, those being, for example, anger, disgust, confidence, joy, etc., etc. And if it's below a certain threshold, then it becomes a low scoring tone, meaning it's not particularly there. Now, if it's above a certain threshold, it is a high scoring tone, meaning it is very much there, very much present within the CV. So as we can see in a random example from before, you could see that joy was very highly present within this CV, and the rest of them weren't particularly present there. And in Voldemort's one, nothing was particularly present, and nothing was exactly highly present. And it also does a comparison against all 3 characteristics and essentially analyzes them and says, hey, does it contain this characteristic at all? An analysis of the CV is also done against specific criteria that have been asked, and then again a full transcript of the interview for the benefit of the recruiter. Since ethically we cannot have an AI actually make any kind of decision, all we can do is make it do some kind of analysis and produce this kind of report, which is useful for the recruiter to go on to next stages, whether they want to delete the application, email the applicant to take it further, or to deny them, or whatever it is that they want to do. So that is pretty much it on either side of the project. This has been the AI Interviewer.